Anybody can glue two pieces of pipe together. PVC? Anybody. True, but not so true. Gluing pipe together is one thing. The theory of plumbing is another. If you don't understand the theory of how plumbing works, you can't just glue two pieces of pipe together. You got to know the order that they go in and what particular fitting needs to go where, and the most important thing is how it's vented. Gravity is the biggest thing that we can count on in the draining system. Gravity. Anything that goes up must come down. That's not always the case in a waste system. In order for the waste and water in the pipe to flow freely, you have to have air, and that's when the vent plays a big part. A vent is just no more than well, let's say you imagine this. You have a straw in your cup and you have a drink of water. Now, before you pull the straw out, you take your thumb and you put it over the end of the straw. So when you pull the straw up, the water is still in the straw. Why is that? Because there's no air in the straw. Soon as you release the top of that straw, the water will come shooting out. That's the same process of the plumbing system. If you don't have a vent, you won't have an effective drainage system. Hello, my name's Claude Taylor, and welcome to the How To Plumbing channel. And don't forget, if you like this video, this channel, give it a thumbs up and become a subscriber. Don't miss out on the next video. Hit that notification bell. Thank you. Okay, now we're starting to get to the good part. We're starting to get to the nice juicy part, installing the plumbing waste lines. And what you see that I'm doing here is I'm starting to lay out my lines. I know where the holes are above me and where exactly where I'm going, because the holes have been drilled out already. So what I'm doing here is laying the fittings out in the areas that I'm going to stop and the type of fittings I'm going to use, and it's going to make it easier for me to remember what is next. And here's a lot of the fittings, and what I normally do is just throw them out, and I can pick right through them instead of going through the box. Just lay them out on the floor. And this is where the laundry is going to go. And this is the laundry box. It is a PEX laundry box made for PEX pipe only. And let me correct that, not only just PEX pipe, but Ubenor PEX pipe. And that hole up there needs to be drilled out for the vent. I do have a guy that's somewhat giving me a hand on this job because I don't have the time to make it back and forth to the job easily as I need to at the time because I work so far away. This is going to be the ice box. This is going to be for the refrigerator, behind the refrigerator. That's going to be installed on that wall. And you can see the old plumbing here. Actually, again, this house has been raised 12 feet in the air. And all the plumbing upstairs are going to be exactly where the plumbing was downstairs. So that's what you're looking at, is the old tub, where the old tub used to be right there. You see that hole? That's where this P-trap is going to be set up at, right there. And again, as I said, I lay my pieces out so I'll know exactly where to go and what fittings I need to be used where I'm at. And as I was saying before, I do have a guy that's giving me a hand on this. He's actually working on the job full time, and I have my own full-time job, which is like 40 miles away. So I'm coming here when I have my time that I can get in here and do what I need to do. So he's cutting the holes out for me. And what we're looking at now, that's the old plumbing system. You can see how it was directly lined up with the columns. So that was not going to be able to be reused, which is good. Now we have a totally new system. And that's where the old another tub used to be, downstairs. And you can see how I have the fittings laid out. I know when I come right there, what's going to catch right here and right here. So always, rather than always looking up, all I have to do is look at the next fitting and I know what's next. And this is going to be used for the toilet upstairs. You can see this toilet is actually exactly in the same line with the one upstairs. So I can actually use that one as a measurement rather than running up and down the steps. And right here, okay, what we're looking at here is two PVC 90s, 3-inch. One is a short pattern 90 and the other one is a long sweep. They call it a long sweep 90. The long sweep we're going to use in the system any pipe that's going vertical to horizontal, and the short pattern we're going to use from horizontal to vertical. The long pattern 90 is because it's long and we use it in that position. We still have a long, nice change of direction which will sweep the flush away. The only exception that we will use the short pattern 90 when it's going from vertical to horizontal is directly from the toilet itself. As soon as the toilet flush, it's going to go right into the short pattern 90. And this is a 3-inch 45, and the other one is a 3-inch street 45. The street 45 is designed to go in a fitting. It's got a hub on one end and no hub on the other, so that it can go inside a fitting, giving you a closer fit just in case you're in a tight area. And on this application, I'm going to use it as a combination, which what we call a combination suite. This here is a 3-inch Y. So what I'm going to do is glue the street 45 into this 3-inch Y, and it's going to make a combination. It's going to be called a change of direction fitting once we're done, because when the system is going through, it's flushing, this is going to allow it to change directions and go where we need it to go. And there's a joke that we have in the plumbing industry. When you buy a can of primer and glue, buy 2 cans of each, one to kick over and one to use. Never fails. Now we're pushing the street 90 inside, and we're going to line it up right there. You can see the notches line right up, and that's going to give us get us exactly where we need to go. And this is going to go up in the air, and one is coming through the main system, and then one is going to catch something else, a toilet. And the way we take our measurements, we either go from end to end, or center to end, or center to center, meaning center one pipe to the center of the other pipe. Right here you can see I'm measuring right up to that hub there, so that's going to be an end measurement. So that's center to end from the center of this 90. And that measurement, so what I'm going to do is, that measurement came up to what? 10. So now I'll go back to this hub right here, and it's lined up with the 6. So my measurement's going to be 6 inches. And there's a more technical way of doing it, but sometimes being technical can be very slow and slow you down. If you want to sit and stop and take out your pen and pencil, write things down and measurements, there's little tricks that you can do with the measuring tape that eliminate a lot of that and save you a lot of time. And I mark it like that, like an arrow, so that I know exactly the middle. Now I do have a chop saw where I can cut this a lot faster, but the guy that has the keys to the house right now is not here with the to unlock the electrical box, so I have nothing to plug it into. So what I'm going to do is use the PVC saw. And like I said, from this, and then we're going to remove the burrs from here. My job is quite a ways from this place, and my home is, and I've got here before the guy could show up, but I'm not going to let that slow me down. I will continue to work and do what I need to do until he can get here, do what I can. And that's one thing about plumbing is you learn to work it backwards and forward, because there are a lot of times that you're not going to always have the things exactly what you need, but you can't let that stop you, so you continue on until you get the things that you need, and things work out great. And this is going to be for the toilet at the far end. And see, I'm measuring from the center of that pipe to the center of the elbow to see if I actually lined up pretty good. So now, before I glue this piece together, and I leveled the 90. You seen earlier, I was leveling the 90, and it came out the levels nice and straight. So now I want to mark exactly where I want the two pieces to be glued, so that when I glue it together, it's in place where it needs to be. And if you watch the video close, you'll notice that a lot of the work that I do is actually on the ground before I can lift it up and put it in place, because it's a lot easier to work with it when you have an open area and you have it down on the ground than to climb up and down a ladder constantly measuring and gluing. If you can do it as much as you can on the ground, that's great. Makes it a lot easier. And what I'm doing right now, I'm just kind of eyeballing exactly where this is going to go, and it's going to go right here. This is actually close to the end of the run of the drainage waste pipe before it goes into the ground and ties into the outside drain. And this is the PVC pipe that I'm using. This is the foam core, which is it's lighter than the other PVC Schedule 40. They're both also Schedule 40. It's just that the foam core is much lighter, and foam core you want to use inside, and the other stuff you do want to use in the ground if you're plumbing in the ground. Okay, you can see that I kind of pre-made my piece up before I just take it up in the air and stick it in place and glue it. All the fittings have been glued on. Most of them have been glued on down on the ground where it's easy to get to, easy access. And now all I have to do is just glue in one piece from the ladder. So I'll just take this whole piece up and bam, there it is. It's glued in. I took all my measurements off the ground and just put it up in the air. There's two holes that you see there. One is for the vent and the other is for the toilet. Okay, I took it back down, and this time I actually glued it in, and I put the level on it. You always keep this torpedo level, is what they call it, a torpedo level. Keep it in your back pocket, because you're going to constantly use it when you're running these pipes, these waste systems. And now you can see I have my combination fitting, which is a 3-inch sanitary tee with a 2-inch side outlet on the right hand side. You can buy one that's left-handed, so if you're looking for one of these, you ask for a sanitary tee with a 2-inch side outlet, left hand or right hand. And again, I am trying to piece as much of it on the ground as I can. So I do have it in place to take some measurements and line it up. And that's the toilet we're shooting for. You can see the toilet flange up there. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave your comments below, and I will do my best to answer any question that you might have in regards to plumbing, of course. In this video, I will be going back and forth, back and forth. This is the process just about complete, but we're going to go back from the beginning, in the middle, and we're going to go back and forth to try to keep you abreast of what's going on. This is the other toilet that I made up kind of on the ground. Made all my measurements up down here. And now I have to just piece it together and correct the measurements, and check the measurements. And again, this helps me line up the fitting where I know where it needs to go. Now the hangers that you see holding the pipes up in place, these are just a few hangers. When you're using PVC pipe, the requirements is to have a hanger every 4 feet. So there will be additional hangers added once before this job is completed. These are the hangers that are in place right now just to do what we need to do and get as much done as we can, as quick as we can, because coming back, that's the easy part. Adding the hangers would be really easy. Okay, now we're upstairs, and you'll see this is the one toilet at the end of the line that we tied into, and it will vent out through the roof once a hole is drilled through there. And this is the tub and shower. This I installed this about a week or so back.
Yep.
And this is the kitchen sink, and of course there's the vent going out again. We're not going through the roof yet. Actually, we're going to have to wait for a roofer to come so that he can put the roof flashings on the roof before we can go out there and install the pipe. We're not going to go out there. We're going to have a roofer do it. And this is being set up for the water lines, if you remember the old video. And this is the young guy that was that I was actually training. He's not exactly a Picasso with the glue and primer, but he's going to be a really good plumber. And this, if you can notice, this is drilled actually outside the wall, but we're going to use we're going to use a 2-inch street 45 and a regular 45 and get it right back into the wall. And the reason that is because just below that wall right there was the floor joist, and we didn't want to drill into the floor joist right at the end where it was. It's a vulnerable spot, so when the cabinets are put in, it'll cover that up. And this is a 2x1.5 inch sanitary tee. I could have went with a 1.5 inch vent, but this just makes it easier to kind of simplify the plumbing. This is going to pick up a bathroom sink, and all bathroom sinks are going to be anywhere from 1.25 to 1.5 inches. Nowadays, mostly 1.5 inches. That was back in the day. They did use 1.25 inches. And it will be adapted to fit the P-trap up underneath later. Okay, like I said, we're going to go back and forth with this video. Here's the tub in place, but it's not connected to the drainage system. This is the vent for the toilet here in this area here. And that's the vent over there for the like I said, my help is not exactly Picasso with the glue and the primer. I have to chuckle a little bit. He'll get it. I can tell we're going to go through some glue and primer in this job. Okay, now that's done, and this is the vent going out. And again, that hole's drilled already, but the vent's not going to be installed until the roofers come out. And all we have to do is just stick a straight piece up there and let the roofer install the flashing around the pipe. And that's going to be the vent for the tub. Okay, there's the laundry in place, and there's the water lines. And this is the drain and waste system for the laundry. Now on the water lines, I'm not going to cover the water lines in this video, but I do have a video that's exactly like this one's ran. It actually is the same house, but it was the house below when it was on the ground. So you can go back and check that video out, and I'll leave a description in the description box so that you can find that video. The tub is not tied in, but it wouldn't tie it in because the tub wasn't there at the time that I ran that pipe. Okay, let me let you know what's going on right here. This is probably the busiest section of the pipe right here. This here from below, the P-trap that you see is going to catch the condensation coming off of the AC unit, which is right above this here. And the next pipe you see going straight up is the vent for that P-trap, so they have to be vented. And the 2-inch going across the long way is going all the way over about 15 feet to catch the kitchen sink upstairs, and that's going to be vented on top of that. And again, to remind you, there will be more hangers up here. PVC pipe, you need to brace it at least every 4 feet. And of course I have to put a brace right there where that elbow is going up to catch the kitchen sink right here. And again, on this spot, we tried to drill a hole in the back part so we could keep it into the wall, but that wasn't going to work out because right below it was the floor joist, and we couldn't interrupt the integrity of that. So we drilled the hole right outside, and we're going to 45 it in, and the vanity will cover all that up. Okay, again, on the first floor before this floor was added and the house was raised 12 feet. This is the plumbing that was there, and it's the exact same plumbing that's going to be above us. Or should I say it's going to be the exact same layout. And this here is the P-trap. And this will be for the tub above us, directly above us. And the smaller piece that you see me slipping in the inside, this being a 2-inch P-trap, the tub is only 1.5 inches. So we're going to reduce that part down to 1.5 inches right there to catch the tub. And that's where the other tub's going to be, and that's where this P-trap is going to sit. Along with sanitary tee, which will catch the drain and vent the tub at the same time. And just like the we talked about the tub, directly above this is exactly where the toilet is going to be. So what I'm doing here is, rather than run up and down the steps, is I'm going to take my measurements off the one that's down here because I know it's going to line right up with the one upstairs. And earlier, before I actually started laying this stuff out, and I pulled my laser out the truck and just kind of played with it to give you an idea. If you, a lot of times on commercial jobs, you're going to use a laser like this one here, so that I can actually visualize exactly where my line is going to go. You put the laser and follow the red laser line. As you can see there, you see the red laser line, and that's going to keep me in line exactly where I need to go. And I can go up there and take measurements off those lines. But I don't expect most people that's going to do a house to have one of these. It's just something I'm playing with a little bit to just give you some information on the video about laser work. It really comes in handy in a lot of commercial jobs. So what I actually did is I went up there and took a measurement off that beam, from the middle of the beam to the laser, and that's how I got my measurement, and that's how I knew where I wanted to be with the drain. Right down this wall here. And this was one evening I came back and I just installed the tub and shower faucets. I made those up at home and brought them out to just set them in place, and they're going to be set for the shower head. Is going to be set at 6'6". 6'6" is the standard rough end measurement for a tub and shower valve. And this is a measurement that I'm taking center to center for the toilet upstairs. So once I get the center to center mark, rather than sitting there and doing it on paper, all I have to do is just take the measurements off the fitting itself with a little trick using the measuring tape. So I already know that the measurement is from center to center. And I just need to measure from the center of the fitting to the hub and take that amount off, and that'll give me my measurement of the pipe that I need to cut to fit in here. And what I did is marked on the floor 23¼ inches. And now I'm going to take my fittings and set them to the center, as you can see, to the center of that line, that mark right there, and the sanitary tee to the center of this fitting right here. Now all I have to do is measure from hub to hub, inside hub to inside hub, and there my measurement is. Which looks like, what, 17? 15 and 16 3/4. Nope, 17. 17. And before I glue anything in downstairs, I usually, well, most plumbers we're gonna screw the toilet flange down to the floor. And you can see the pieces that I put in there. These are the pieces that's going to make up for the towel or backer board that's going to be on the ground. So I'm kind of lifting the toilet flange up a little bit, so that'll keep it in place. So when the towel guy comes around, it'll be set. Okay, now this is a piece that I made up downstairs, so that I didn't have to go up and down the ladder. And this is going to be for that toilet. And the long 2-inch piece that you're looking at is going to be the vent that goes out and up and through the roof. So now that I have it in one piece, I can just slide it up in place, glue it into the closet flange, let it hold, and it's going to be set for now. There's the 2-inch vent hole and the 3-inch toilet drain. Okay, I've come upstairs to make sure I check to see how it's lined up, and you can see how easy that was. I didn't have to sit there on the ladder and try to piece things together. Okay, I'm leaving this part in the video just to give you an idea of what you would have to do, you know, working on a particular house like this or anything like this. Look at all these steps I have to go up and down. So it only makes sense to try to fit everything downstairs as much as you can to keep yourself from running up and down the steps. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here, is make my cuts, make my fittings, put everything together, slip it up in place. I am going on top just to check every now and then, but I don't have to go up and down as much because I can do as much as I can down here. Now, since I'm working on this job by myself today, right here and right now, sometimes you have to improvise. So what I've done is of course, I prefabbed the piece and then I set it in one hanger so that all I have to do is go to the other hanger, lift it up, and place it in. And it's a done deal. And like I said, always keep the torpedo level in your back pocket, because we're going to, every now and then, which is quite often, we're going to need that level to make sure that our pipe, that we have the right proper pitch on there. And there we go. We have the nice pitch where it's pitching the way that we want it to go. And it doesn't take that much of a pitch. You may think to yourself, the more of a pitch it has, wouldn't that make it better for the flow of the waste and water to wash things away? That's not exactly true, because once you have too much of a pitch, the chances are that if there's a spot there that really needs to be flushed away, it's not going to go away because the momentum of the water is going to go rush right past it, and then eventually you have a spot to where it could possibly build up and clog. So the best thing to do is keep just a small gradual pitch, and that way it keeps enough water in the system that whatever debris or whatever's there, it'll keep it soaked nice and wet so that when the flush through comes through, it will wash it away. And again, I'll mention it throughout this video. You notice the hangers up there. I don't have many hangers, and that's only because I'm trying to just get it in place for now, and I will come back and put other hangers in. But on PVC pipe, you want them supported every 4 feet. Just something you can keep in mind. And here's the chop saw I was talking about earlier. The other guy showed up, so I was able to get power in here so that I can use the chop saw. It's a lot faster than cutting it by hand, and it's going to be a lot straighter. And on most job sites, this is what you're going to see plumbers using to cut the PVC pipe. And now again, what I'm doing here is just kind of piecing things together. Again, I'm going to put as much together down on the ground as I can, but there are times where I will need to get up on the ladder to get some other measurements. But this stretch, I'll put the pieces in and be able to just lift it up and put it in place and not have to do too much gluing up top. Okay, I've got that piece in and leveled it, and I'm also checking the level on the drain coming from the toilet. Okay, now I have my straight piece in together and it's all straight. I am going to come back and cut into that pipe so that I can go ahead over and catch the tub and the sink, the bathroom sink upstairs. But at least now I have it lined up nice and even the way I want it. And you'll see this throughout the video a lot also, because I'm constantly going back and forth to see if things line up and trying to catch anything that I see wrong before we go too far. So I'm constantly checking them, and you should do the same. And at the end of here, this run here, you can see that I put a clean out. This is because it's such a long run, and in the future, if they have any stoppage or anything like that, they can just run a sewer machine or a cable and pull that cap and run it through there. Okay, I came back and I cut it into the line, cut a new spot into the line, as I said before, and this is going over to catch the tub and the bathroom sink upstairs. Now these are the blueprints to 3 houses that are being built. One thing to keep in mind, it's just going to give us a top view of where the toilets and face bowls and the tubs are going to be. It's nothing like a that you would find in a commercial blueprint drawing. A lot of the residential blueprint drawing, the plumber goes in and the electrician and heating and cooling guy. We are the ones that design the plumbing system, the HVAC system, and the electrical system in the home. But when it comes to a commercial, those are designed by architects and engineers. But on a home, since it's so basic and so simple, because a lot of times we have to modify things and make things, we make it happen. So the plumbing that you see in this system here is something I designed in my head and made adjustments when needed. And to develop a plumbing system like this, it takes years of practice, and I've been doing it over 30 plus years. So you're looking at a lot of years of practice doing this stuff. And as I was saying at the beginning of the video, yes, anyone can glue 2 pieces of pipes and pipe fittings together. But to know why you're doing what you're doing, that's the trick. That's the key to putting this all together. And this is the hole in the wall that we made so that we can go outside and tie it into the pipe outside, because remember, we couldn't tie it into the one inside because the pier and beams are all in the way, so we had to make a new connection outside. And again, which was for the best, because we didn't have to deal with that old plumbing system that's up under this slab. No telling what kind of condition it might be in. So we have access to all new drain and waste lines. And we'll go outside here to see where it's tied in. And we've installed a clean out at this end also, because now that it's going into the main, if there's a stoppage between the street and here, we can clear that line from there. Now from outside here, you can see that it's offset over, and where that clean out is, in right behind that wall, is exactly where the pier and beams are, and that's the reason we had to do it the way we did it. Again, I'm Claude Taylor. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, give it a thumbs up. And become a subscriber. And don't forget to hit that notification button so that you don't miss any new videos coming out. Thank you.